Hello, welcome to Living Faith Midweek Devotions. We are in the middle of Holy Week, leading up to the greatest day in the Christian church year, the greatest day that ever occurred for us and for everyone, that Jesus rises from the dead on Easter morning. But before we get there are many events that lead up in that week to that tremendous day. Sad events, but events that needed to occur. This week, Holy Week, leading up to Easter, is a reminder that there is an end for all of us. That death looms in front of us, that we are all mortal, and that our bodies will eventually decay and die. Death is a great divider, but death is not the end of the story. Jesus faced death so that death would be defeated, that sin would be paid for, and that we could face it with hope. For the last 6 weeks, we've been going face to face with Jesus with our guilt, with our sin, being self-reliant, being needy. And every single time, Jesus has come face to face with that. This week, Jesus comes face to face with death and faces it head on. Complete death, eternal death, judgmental death for you and me. As I record this devotion for you, it is Holy Wednesday, or Wednesday in Holy Week. Wednesday is a pretty silent day of events that are recorded in the Bible, except there's one significant event that we know for sure took place on that day. This Wednesday is called, or often known as, Spy Wednesday. It was the day that Judas was known to agree to hand Jesus over to the chief priests and the elders of the law for 30 pieces of silver. His greed got the best of him. Now, did he think he was going to pull a fast one on them and receive the 30 pieces of silver and then help save Jesus? We don't know all of Judas's heart. Because it sure seems at that meal on Maundy, Thursday, the Passover meal, Judas also seemed surprised that he would be the one to betray Jesus. Judas is fully convicted when Jesus says, "You are the man." On this Spy Wednesday, this Holy Wednesday leading before the Last Supper and leading up to Jesus' death, let's reflect on our hearts. How often we have betrayed Jesus. How much we need him to go to the cross to pay for our betrayal of him. To pay for the death that we deserve. And see the events that his death causes. To break open the tombs so that many people live, so that you and I have eternal life in store for us. That's why he went to death. So that the tomb would be open on Sunday morning. So that your tomb would be open. Not just spiritually for you to go to heaven when you die, but physically for your body to raise from the grave when he returns again, so that you can be a glorious body with him forever. We look at Matthew chapter 27, beginning at verse 45. This is Good Friday. From noon until 3 p.m, darkness came over all the land. About 3 p.m, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion had and those with him were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Often we overlook all the events that took place right when Jesus died. You see what took place as Matthew records it? That thick, heavy curtain in the temple dividing the holy place from the most holy place, where only the priest could go once a year to offer the sacrifice of atonement, was torn in two. This could not happen with human hands. It happened with divine intervention. It happened with Jesus' cry, "It is finished." He opened the access for all believers to have access to Jesus directly, to have access to God directly. Once again, we are now at one with God the Father because of Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. But that's not the only thing that happened. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. Bodies of many holy people were raised to life. But they didn't come out of the tombs yet. They didn't come out until Sunday morning when Jesus rose, and then all of them came out too, as witnesses, as testament to Jesus' resurrection. And then what did they do? They went out and witnessed to many people. They were a testimony to Jesus' resurrection, to what Jesus' death had done for all of them, and that Jesus was alive. Before they went and did that, did you notice those soldiers and the centurion who watched and witnessed all this? They were terrified. And at once they proclaim, "Surely he was the Son of God." A witness to the faith. Dear friends, Jesus has died for you. Surely he is the Son of God, and he has conquered death for you, so that the rocks of your tomb will split, so that you will rise, because death has lost its sting. Jesus took on that sting of death and rose victoriously, so you will rise as well. God be with you, dear friends. We'll see you next week as we celebrate Easter.